What up, what up? I'm back at it again with another video. Before I get into the video, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button for me. It really helps the channel, as does telling people what it is you like about my content and leaving comments. So, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm sure many of you have felt a sense of cabin fever at one point over the last 14 months. I wanted to do a video where I engage the idea of traveling for your mental health in a pandemic. I have all of my sources in the description box below, so if I say something you want more information on or said in a different way, you can check out the sources below and do some more reading on it. And by the way, there are timestamps on this video in case you'd like to skip ahead. Let me just start off by saying I'm not making this video to shame anyone. Shaming often causes more damage and is counterproductive. I'm making this because I really wanted to understand this viewpoint. I think one of the first principles I had to understand was contextualizing what it is to be American. We live in a society. We live in a capitalistic society that praises you for your rugged individualism and tangible success, which can cause many of us to have a fallible relationship with our emotions and treat ourselves like machines day in and day out. But we're not made of metal and plastic. In many cases, what happens is that pressure, growing resentment, and psychological stress can build within us like a pressure cooker, causing us to lash out and race to the opposite end of the spectrum. We go from ignoring, neglecting, and mistreating our own emotions and needs, especially in relationships with other people, to prioritizing our own mental health and needs above everyone and everything else. We're still in a global pandemic, regardless of what the CDC's latest big announcement says, or it may imply. 3.4 million people have died worldwide because of this, and 586,000 have died domestically. I will admit that it is hard to fully grasp the magnitude of those numbers, and the pandemic's effect on all of our beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and behaviors during this time will likely be studied for years to come. That being said, there have been many a time I felt as though I was losing my mind, locked away in my 8x8 bedroom over these past 14 months. I did lots of yoga, made sure to go on daily walks to a park about an hour away from my house, and walked a friend's dogs as often as I could. But feeling trapped inside without as much stimuli or variety still got to me. Feeling trapped can make anyone flighty. And if escapism or vacationing was your go-to prior to all of this, COVID-19 wasn't going to stand in the way. These tweets illustrate how little some still understand about the spread of this virus and its ability to completely ravage places not considered first world. Many of their infrastructures would be completely exhausted if there were to be sizable outbreaks like we see happening right now in India. We saw American hospitals filled to capacity and medical professionals nationwide burnt out, making decisions that will determine who will get life-saving medical attention and who won't, on little to no sleep, largely because of understaffing, bias, capital, and or limited resources. This brings us to tourism. Tourism is the commercial organization of vacations and visits to places of interest. I love vacations. Vacations can be great. However, tourism has a grave downside. Tourism leads to dependence on tourists, loss of cultural identity of the place, the exploitation of animals to entertain tourists, increased pollution, natural habitat loss, increase in price of goods and services that can become inaccessible to locals, and an enormous strain on resources like local land use, which can lead to soil erosion, to name a few. I will post a quick read about how to travel sustainably in the description box below. Next, I had to understand that most people in pain react from that place and are not even aware of their participation in lateral ableism. Could they not see that the health and mental wellness of immunocompromised people would likely suffer if they contracted a life-threatening virus? A population who has even fewer resources available to them, both domestically and abroad. This is the point I was trying to subtly make in my borderline reaction video, which didn't go over well. Brandy's music has always been a part of my life, and anytime I hear a song off of Full Moon, I'm instantly transported back to middle school I'm a fan of branding. I'm also a Black mental health advocate. Working through your own mental health concerns does not give you the license to put others at risk in the name of mental health, especially not people who have health issues that differ from yours. Lateral ableism throughout this pandemic has been at an all-time high, but has existed throughout much of the mainstream conversation around mental health. These conversations center mood disorders like depression and completely leave out personality disorders like borderline personality disorder, which is often stigmatized, misunderstood, and can be quite incompatible with the structure of our society. I suspect that this is because most of us think of ourselves as normal, and severely mentally ill or immunocompromised people as social pariah that should always shrink without consideration or government intervention. And at the same time, we live under a society that doesn't value us beyond our labor, which may make it easy to not value or consider one another. Though neurodiversity is not a mental illness, many people who are neurodivergent may have mental illnesses due to neglect or abuse because of this, and their ostracization from society. And perhaps more importantly, the knowledge around and navigating optimal mental health largely comes from the perspective of well-off, abled, neurotypical, straight, white men. Correct information about neurodiversity is not mentioned in the mainstream or uniformly disseminated amongst mental health professionals, educators in the workplace, or to police departments. Is vacationing abroad the only resource available to supporting your mental health during this time? Traveling abroad for your mental health is often a topical, degenerative route that would likely be less important if the structure of our society shifted and our ideas of being bound to one another, communally and proximally, deepened. International travel is not a replacement for therapy. Therapy is not a replacement for revolution. And revolution that does not center or at least consider the most marginalized will require another revolution. If you made it this far, please leave me some hearts in the comment section below. And if you would like to help me out in any way, if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, my Cash App and my Venmo information is right down below. I'll see you next time. Peace.